Welcome back. This is an addendum to the previous video that I made to create an Eldritch Trickster. I primarily create that video because a Fantasy Grounds user asked in Discord about how to go about doing the Eldritch Trickster, but I forgot that they asked specifically about a Sorcerer dedication. And in the previous video that I did, I just showed a Wizard dedication. So this is really an addition to that original video. If you want to see the whole steps that I went through, please watch that other video first. But where I get to the point where I add the Wizard dedication, and if you're interested in Sorcerer dedications, you can go and watch this video instead, or in addition, if you want to see just two slightly different kind of connotations on adding a spellcasting dedication to your character. So basically I've kept with the same character. I've just gone through and removed the wizard dedication. So I have gone and done my free boosts. I have added my ability, my inventory, the items to the inventory as well. So all we're really doing is this Eldritch Trickster ability here on my character sheet, which is choose a multi-class archetype as basic, expert, and master spellcasting. So to do that, we need to go to the feats entry, and I just filtered by archetype sorcerer to show these, and I'll add the sorcerer dedication to the character sheet. So it hears there's been partial automation. I need to review the entry and manually apply any additional information as and when required. So we've added this sorcerer dedication to the character sheet here, so I just need to go through and review what we need to do. So you choose a bloodline, you become trained in a bloodline's 2 skills. For each of those skills in which you're already trained, you become trained in a skill of your choice. And you cast spells like a sorcerer, you gain the cast spell activity, you gain a spell repertoire, 2 common cantrips, etc., etc. We'll go through and review this in detail. So yeah, this is where maybe, it's quite easy to get lost. Choose a bloodline. Where do I go and choose a bloodline? Now, normally if you're creating a sorcerer, these would be presented to you. You'd get that option to make that actual decision. But in this case, we need to go and decide which bloodline we want, and then manually add that to our character sheet in terms of drag and drop. Special character abilities or features, they're generally available as lookup data. So, when we were creating this rogue, we added to the Eldritch Trickster rogue racket. That's in lookup data. Sorcerer bloodlines, wizards, arcane schools, barbarian rage types, bards muses, alchemists. Can't remember what they're called. Theorems or something like that. They're all in lookup data. Lookup data comprises a number of areas: heritages, deities, domains, conditions, creature abilities, all sorts of things. But one thing that it does have is it has class data, which is to do with each individual class. You can see that here. There's like wizard schools, investigator methodologies, druid orders, barbarian instincts, swashbuckler styles, all sorts of things there put in this general kind of lookup data area. And specifically for a sorcerer, so we can filter by class and then by sorcerer. We can see all of the various different bloodlines, some from the Advanced Player's Guide, some from the core rules. So we can decide, what kind of bloodline are we going to add. We can look through here, we can see what tradition that uses spellcasting tradition. We can see those skills that we become trained in, because that sorcerer dedication said, you become trained in the 2 bloodline skills. Tells you which spells you get automatically granted and things like that. So just for an example, I'm just going to add aberrant to our character sheet. So we've added this bloodline, and it says here some features may require manual addition based off that actual bloodline. So we'll just check what has actually been done. We go down to actions, and we can see that sorcerer spell casting has been added. That's great. It's added charisma as the ability. We know from Eldritch Trickster that we'd actually use you can choose the spellcasting ability score for the multi-class archetype you chose as your key ability score. So we can use dexterity as our key ability score, so that's great. Just click on the ability to rotate it round to dexterity. So we need to review other things in here. You know, it hasn't added any cantrips, it hasn't set the magical tradition, and all those kinds of things. So we'll just keep going through the Eldritch Trickster and make sure that we're okay there. So we basically get that dedication. You can choose the spellcasting ability score, so that's okay. And now just go through the Sorcerer Dedication. You cast spells like a sorcerer, you gain the caster spell activity, you gain a spell repertoire with 2 common cantrips from the spell list associated with your bloodline, from the spells granted by your bloodline, or any other cantrips of that tradition you learn or discover. So we get 2 cantrips. So I'll just click on the cantrip section here, the 0, type 2, and you see now there's a header of cantrips. Comes up the bottom there. We need to just check with aberrant here. It's spell list occult, so we change our tradition, just click the cycler, round to occult. So that's good there. So it says you gain the spell repertoire with 2 common cantrips from the spell list of your bloodline, from the spells granted by your bloodline, or any other cantrips of that tradition you learn or discover. You're trained in spell attack rolls. Yeah, we're trained in spell attack rolls, so that's good. You don't get any other abilities. So really it's just making a decision on those cantrips. So we can get days if you want to as a cantrip. We need to, train ourselves in intimidation and occultism because we get those 2 skills. I'm already trained in intimidation, I'm trained in occultism, so the rules for character generation at first level is if you become trained in something that you're already trained, you can get trained in something else. Maybe we'll go with acrobatics and athletics. So usual things with the rogues, you have a lot of skills that are trained, and obviously with this arcane trickster, with a sorcerer, you get extra trained as well. So actually you end up with a lot of skills getting trained there. So we could go with days, or we can look at other spells that are available to us as a occult spellcaster. So we can go to the spells tab, we can click on occult, and we can see all of the common, all of these are common by the looks of it. Just quickly going through them. Days is available to me anyway. Days is a arcane divine occult spell, so it would really only be if we were a primal, that would gain additional access to days. So grabbing that doesn't really benefit us unless we want to use it, obviously. So yeah, we just decide really, what spells we actually want to have in our repertoire. We have 2 of them, so maybe we just go with, I don't know, telekinetic projectile. So just drag the link for that spell and drop it on your cantrips header, and maybe we'll have shield as well. And that's pretty much it. I'll just run through it again. You gain repertoire of 2 common cantrips. You're trained in your spell attack rolls. Your key spell casting ability is anti-dex. So just doing a final check here that we've actually implemented this sorcerer dedication correctly. There is this entry at the end here. You don't gain any other abilities from your choice of bloodline. So we do just need to check what we get in the bloodline and essentially remove things that don't apply as part of this sorcerer dedication. So when we added the aberrant bloodline to our character sheet, it created a few things in here. So we need to essentially remove what's not relevant. So bloodline skills, yes, that was relevant. We do get trained in the 2 bloodline skills. We get the granted spells as an option to select those the spells from that list. The spell list is occult, so we get that. What we don't get is kind of this additional bloodline spells. So you don't get the bloodline spells, which would be focus spells, and you don't get this blood magic either. So we basically, within here, when we added this aberrant bloodline lookup data record, it created this blood magic entry in there. So we can just go into edit mode and remove that, and also the bloodline spells, which were these essentially focus spells. Everything else we kind of probably want to refer to in the character sheets, for the granted spells, because maybe at later level, if we get any of the follow-up archetype dedication feats that actually allow us access to higher level spells, maybe we'd have potentially access to those as well. So that's essentially it, I think, at that point. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. When we added this sorcerer dedication, it created this basic sorcerer spellcasting spell class, kind of is the terminology within Fantasy Grounds. If it doesn't, you could click this button here, add a spell class, and fill it all out manually yourself. But there is automation built into this Sorcerer Dedication to at least set the framework, which then allows you to set it up how it would actually be. In this case, we added the 2 cantrips. We changed our ability from Charisma to Dex. We set the spellcasting tradition to Occult, and then we dragged in a couple of spells once we had set that level, that cantrips to 2, so that the cantrips header appeared. And that's pretty much it. So hopefully this has helped show you a bit more information about how to create a arcane trickster with a sorcerer dedication. Actually, it would be relevant to any character having the sorcerer dedication added to them. So hopefully it's been of some use. Thanks for watching.